Hey everyone! As many of you know, I like reading stories in most gachas I play. That said, one of my personal favorite things about stories comes down to character development. Now, Azur within the last year, released the Project Identity game mode, or as I call it, the Siren Daughter Simulator. Now I know not everyone has done a full playthrough of the game mode, but that's okay. One of the reasons I thoroughly enjoy that mode is because of how much they develop TB throughout the story, and depending on which route you take. But what really helps build her character throughout that game is being able to see the artwork that is portraying her during some of her major life events. Now, don't worry, I'm not one to spoil things, so I only really show you guys here the very first few scenes. I'll leave that up to you to finish at your own leisure. Granted, you could even argue that the amusement park storyline that was released recently gave Amagi a really nice scene as well. It's moments like these in both situations that help develop characters and give them more meaningful moments in the stories that they exist in. I'm sure many of you have probably tried out some of the memories from various Shipgirls within Azur Lane. Maybe you've done all of your oaths or a particular faction, or maybe you're one of those that say, "Reading? What's that?" Regardless, if we were to look at the Shipgirl memories, this kind of visual graphic is noticeably absent. Now, I'm a bigger fan of showing instead of telling, so that's why I've teamed up with several amazing artists within the Azur Lane community, so we can all ask ourselves, what if the Shipgirl's memories had artwork to them? And that's what the purpose of today's video collab is on. I have asked each of these artists to pick a Shipgirl that has a memory, pick a chapter from that particular memory, and create artwork to bring that scene to life. On my side, I will handle reading that memory alongside some editing to let their artwork enhance the story at that point. So in a way, these are somewhat reimagined chapters of the Shipgirl memories themselves. As you'll see, not everything in the memories are completely different. However, I was able to use some creative freedoms in certain areas, so you may notice additional lines that are my writing, rearrangement of some of the lines, some sound effects, music, and even some ambience. Now, with all the context around this particular video explained, I did want to at least provide a bit of context for each of the memories. Most of these aren't the starting scenes, and for those who haven't read it through any of these, it'll help to understand these at least a little bit before going into them. That said, I hope you guys all enjoyed this particular video, and let me know what you thought about this whole collab down in the comments below. Alright, so for Shimakaze, the commander has recently assigned Shimakaze as his secretary. While asking around for some background information on her, they are made aware of many of Shimakaze's amazing and outstanding abilities and feats, but is suddenly taken aback by Tsuruga's criticisms of her. Wanting to get a solid understanding of her as their new secretary, the commander sets out to learn more and more about the Sakura Empire's very own Shimakaze herself. After a few chaotic moments, the commander decides to try and spend some time with her, and that takes us into this scene. City Amusement Park. After how successful our museum trip was, I decided to take Shimakaze out to see another one of the city's attractions. Holy smoke! I see we're visiting an amusement park this time. This is going to be awesome! We'd only just arrived and she was already bubbling with excitement. Things were off to a good start. Alright then, time to conduct our inspection tour. Catch up with you later. Wait, you're going alone? Gotta go fast. And just like that, she ran off on her own. La-di-dum. Oh, so this place is a house of mirrors. Everywhere I look, there's a funny looking clone of me. Whoa, now this is truly a wacky take on my appearance. Am I a wacky clone to you? Did the mirror just speak? I must have entered a haunted house instead. I'm not a mirror, I'm Laffy. Oh, it's you, Laffy from the Eagle Union. Finally, with the guidance of a Manju park employee, I managed to catch up with Shimakaze. Eagle Union's scariest destroyer, and I'm here to haunt you. Ah, no, my heart can't handle hauntings or scary stuff in general. And what a strange situation I found her in. Thanks for treating me to lunch. I guess it's lucky I happened to come here today. No, thank you for gracing me with your presence. I'm simply honored to meet one of the Eagle Union's most renowned destroyers. Well, sure. Who's paying, by the way? It's on me. In the end, I hardly got to try any of the park's rides. Instead, I just had a pleasant lunch with 2 rabbits. I did want to briefly talk about each of the artworks here at the end of the particular memories chapter, so mostly just kind of talking a little bit about the artwork as well as some of the stuff that I had to do while working on this particular memory. Now, I do feel a little bit bad about this one not getting as much time in the spotlight just by the nature of how short this part of the scene was for the chapter. Most of them get around, I want to say, close to a minute or so, and this one was just a tad bit shy of it. Which, it's not a fault of anything here. Kyle still did a fantastic job with this particular scene, and I do want to briefly talk about that. Anyway, Shimakaze is quite the speedy girl, but even then she's able to unwind and have moments like these with others, and what better person than Laffy herself? Now, this very iconic bunny duo always does make me laugh with how they interact with each other. Seeing these two side by side is always a pleasant sight, and I do like a lot of the detailing in this particular artwork. Now, it is a rather adorable one. Of course, I do have to admit that Shimakaze is absolutely adorable with her milkshake that she's got there. Now, Laffy on the other hand, the girl's got a burger, and I mean, that's a pretty big burger. It does make me wonder if she slept a little too long and needed a big meal for some energy, or something else of that matter. On a more hilarious note, I'm sitting here not sure if Laffy is ready to nom on that burger or is simply amazed by the sheer audacity of the manju to take her french fry. If it is the latter, well, F in the chat, boys. Now, while it is a smaller detail to note here, I did definitely like how Shimakaze's ears have the little bunny tufts that really stick out there. It does show that, unlike Laffy, her ears are the real deal. So something I also want to do is give the artists a bit of a chance to leave a message or say something if they chose to do that. So this period of time is all for you, Kyle. Hello everyone, this is Kyle. I'm probably mostly known for my drawings of Helena, but with this project I ended up choosing to draw a memory scene for Shimakaze. It was an opportunity to make something that featured characters I also like a lot but rarely ever show. The contrast between Shimakaze's energy and Laffy is a cute dynamic. I always appreciate seeing character interactions like that. Given Laffy's track record, I'd imagine even this comically large burger would only survive a few bites. Shout out to my friends in the Rabbit and Steel game Discord who kept me company as I streamed drawing some rabbit girls. I hope you enjoyed my depiction of a comfy lunchtime with Shimakaze and Laffy, and I'm glad to have been a part of this project. You know, I honestly completely forgot about that scene. I still don't know how she did that. It literally just looks like it just disappeared as soon as she put it anywhere near her face. I'm actually now sitting here wondering if she could eat the whole burger at one bite, or am I gonna have to or is this gonna be a how many bites does it take before the burger is gone? And with that, I think Shimakaze's artwork is an adorable one for us to start with, but we still have a good number to go. So let's move on to our next one, shall we? Next up is King George V, so let's dive into a bit of context. Now, after being rescued from Duke of York, the commander sets out to better understand King George V. As the commander becomes more and more familiar with her, they see her acting in a rather regal and prestigious light, even viewing her as the de facto leader of the Royal Navy. Yet despite that, Hood alludes to the possibility that there's more to King George V than simply a natural-born leader, a side to her that most normally would not see. And that leads us to this particular scene. As a result of Hood's proposal, I suddenly found myself trying to cook for King George V. Commander, do you know how to cook? I bet I've poured myself a bowl of cereal before. Let's see what you're capable of then. With that, the kitchen became a much livelier place. I started with the basics, such as learning how to handle vegetables and eggs. Then I prepared them on the skillet. And finally, plated my freshly made omelet. I carried my creation over to King George V. She poked at the dish in front of her with curiosity before lifting some to her lips. Commander, it'll take a bit more practice before you can hope to satisfy my palate. Well, that's to be expected. This person is capable of crafting dishes fit for a queen, so of course she'd be on a completely different level from me. However, the fact that you prepared this dish especially for me is quite the delicious seasoning. King George V smiled at me warmly, almost as if. The person in front of me was not my secretaryship, a knight commander, or one of the most charismatic leaders in the Royal Navy, but rather just an ordinary girl who enjoyed cooking. And with that, I caught a glimpse of her soft side. I turned back towards the kitchen to continue my training. One day, I would make something that she would acknowledge as truly delicious. I have to say that out of all of the points in King George V's memory, this one is probably the most significant of her entire questline. Now, PaiPai had the challenge of bringing KGV's soft side to light, and I think they nailed it right here. In the memory itself, there's one line that I think truly describes everything about this particular piece. King George V smiled at me warmly, almost as if the person in front of me was not my secretaryship, a knight commander, or one of the most charismatic leaders in the Royal Navy, but rather just an ordinary girl who enjoyed cooking. Now, this chapter focused heavily on the soft side of KGV and her love for cooking, so what really mattered a lot here was the way that KGV looked in this illustration. Personally, I think PaiPai perfectly depicted this, as it gave that exact glimpse to her that I felt dialogue alone was not able to showcase. The smiles she has on her face, the faint but ever-present blush, even how relaxed she is looking at us, all of that adds up to help visualize this very moment for us. I did appreciate a lot of the detailing in this particular piece as well, even the extra little shine around the image's boundaries. Now, there is something I should definitely say about the omelet. There's kind of a funny story behind this. Turns out, Cian, JP, and Ian do not agree on what we cooked the poor girl. Ian said apparently this was scrambled eggs, JP said it was an omelet, and Cian also said it was an omelet only after proceeding to roast the commander. So after a few good laughs, PaiPai and I agreed to just make it an omelet and move on with it. That said, I did want to let PaiPai have some words here as well. Hello, it is PaiPai, an AL fan artist who's known to make a lot of fan art of Prince of Wales, among other shipgirls from time to time, as I enjoy them very much. I was happy to take part in this special project along with a few other artists. I had a lot of fun with my end of this particular project, and Octuzero himself was such a pleasure to meet and talk to. For this project, I chose Wales' big sister, King George V, as she needed some love as well. Looking through the chapters of her memories, I knew the part where George reveals her soft side would be perfect to illustrate and even touch some hearts. I do hope everyone has enjoyed this segment. Thanks, PaiPai. This was one of my favorite moments for her storyline, so I'm glad to see this one get covered. Personally, I feel the Royal Navy don't get a lot of appreciation compared to our other factions, so it's nice to see one of the shipgirls from their particular faction on this project. That said, 2 down and 2 to go. So let's keep on going through this, shall we? Alright, Helena's turn, so let's dive into some context. They always say that hard times can make or break a person. Helena's first day as secretary started off strong with how diligent and prepared she was for everything, with all the tip gathering she did before starting. The commander was impressed with her efforts and even how far above and beyond she was already going. Yet even the most prepared person could not be ready for what chaos the storm can bring. After quite a long night with a rough storm, the commander and Helena finally are able to rest a bit, which leads us to this scene. Opening my eyes, the first thing I saw was Helena's thighs. It seemed I'd ask for a lap pillow at some point before dozing off again. Ahem. What the hell are you two doing? Huh? Honolulu? Louis, why are you here? To check on you. You never came back to the dorm last night. We figured it was because of the storm, so we waited for the rain to let up first. Care to walk me through what happened? Please don't tell me any funny business went down. Sure. It started late in the evening. Alright. I'll take your word for it. Now that the sun's up, jeez, the storm made a worse mess at the office than I thought. We need to order a new window pane, replace fried wires, tidy up the place. There's a lot to do to better prepare for the next storm. Commander, should I go ask Kakashi if she can provide new electronics? Go ahead. I'm sure you can work something out. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. With a blush on her face, Helena made a swift exit. Something's fishy here. I'm gonna have to press her for the real answer about what went down last night. How about we say they had a sweet moment and leave it at that, Commander, be a dear and keep looking after Helena for me. A cinnamon roll on a rainy day fits this whole memory really well as a title. Helena isn't a girl that wears her heart on her sleeve. Even then, she's a caring and incredibly kind girl who's trying to find her own way to be who she is. Throughout the storyline, she's very cautious and thorough with her actions, though she does genuinely care for the commander, and I think that Vayneeee does a great job at showcasing this kindness as well. Both of them did fall asleep in this particular part of the story, but instead of just letting the commander sleep on the couch, Vayneeee chose to have Helena give the commander a lap pillow, and also give him a blanket as well. Her blush, while very adorable, does play into her surprise of being caught by St. Louis and Honolulu. The way that both of these characters are drawn here pretty much perfectly fits how I imagine the two of them in this particular moment. Now, I do want to also quickly note the level of detailing and how you drew your materials and textures is incredible, Vayneeee. The metallic shine on the gramophone as well as the detailing in the chair is amazing. I have to say the manju here is really funny. He's probably sitting there just like, hey, I know you two are having a moment, but I found this paper on the floor and I don't know what it says, so I just leave it here with the rest. Now, of course, I also do need to say something else in particular, but, Sensei, is that you? You might want to wake up. Kivotos needs you. Anyway, really well done with this particular piece. I do want to give a little bit of time to Vayneeee here to quickly give some words as well. To the folks that still remember my run on Helena fan arts, I hope that this project can reignite your love for the cinnamon roll of AL. A great thank you for Hawk20 for providing me with an excuse to draw her again, and hopefully not the last time in the near future. I'm glad you enjoyed drawing her again. I can definitely agree that Helena is quite the cinnamon roll. That said, how are we doing so far, everyone? With Helena's finished, we're onto our last of the 4. So I hope you're ready for that. Alright, so we're on to the last of the 4, Blucher. Now, Iron Blood mains, and well, okay, Blucher lovers in general, be prepared, and I mean it. I have mentioned that I did have some creative freedoms throughout this project, but I feel it's important to put a quick disclaimer here saying that this one has been completely reworked and has a lot more to it. If you're wondering, Heaven's Melody put an absurd amount of effort into this particular one. The absolute mad lad went above and beyond and gave me a lot to work with. So in a way, I feel that I need to match that level of work as well. With all that out of the way, all right, let's get some context here. I mean, do I really need to? This entire storyline is basically, you made Blucher your secretary. She's still being the lovey-dovey ship girl you've known her to be, and we get to just see how much she really wants to go on a date with you. And one of these dates really just turns out to be this very scene. Northern Parliament, ski resort. Look at me, Commander. This place is awesome, just like Aurora said. Blucher and I are at a mountain ski resort in the Northern Parliament, open only to ship girls. We take a short break on the Blue Square Trail, taking in the view of the nearby mountain range while the sun continues to chase the horizon. As a pleasantly cold breeze brushes against my cheek, I think to myself what a perfect vacation destination this is, particularly for skiing enthusiasts. This is the best date ever. I love you, Commander. What? There's no echo. Isn't it supposed to echo when you shout on a mountain? Maybe all the snow is dampening the noise. Makes sense, actually. You're so smart. Blucher, donning her winter gear, zips right past me on her snowboard, a cloud of snow trailing behind her. Think you can catch up with me, Commander? You don't want to snowboard? Then how about you can catch me in your arms, hmm? Predicting where she's going to land, I run over and extend my arms. She soars through the air squarely into my arms, and I manage to catch her. 10 out of 10 catch, Commander. This was a heart-thumping moment in more ways than one. She tugs my arm softly as she points further down the mountain trail. I can't call it a day until we've snowboarded at least once together. Come on, let's go. The passion she radiates could melt all the snow in the world. Once again, I do want to thank Heaven's Melody for all 6 of these artworks. I'll be rotating them as I talk for a bit here. That said, where do I start with these? Well, I mean, I think it's best to start with the strongest one. Going into this scene, the most powerful moment is when she jumps at you, waiting for you to catch her. This was honestly something that I really wished was illustrated when her memory came out. Heaven's Melody did tell me that this was his favorite pose to work on, and I can honestly see why. Not only did they capture how adorable this scene is, but also showed just how much Blucher really loves you in the end. Even in the other artworks, you could see just how happy she is just to be there with you. Heaven's Melody did a great job making Blucher throughout all of these individual scenes. I sometimes have to remind myself that Blucher is a member of the Iron Blood, with just how cheerful and happy she is. That said, Heaven's Melody did an amazing job capturing Blucher's personality in each of these shots as well. Outside of that, some of the smaller details really made this all the better. The reflection in the goggles was a nice touch in a good number of these illustrations, and I also really did like just the way the snow added a little bit of a glare in these shots too. The smaller details may not seem like much sometimes, but those really can make a huge difference in how the whole piece looks overall. That said, I did want to let Heaven's Melody have a few words here as well, so go ahead and take it away. This is Heaven's Melody, or Kyokko. I have drawn a lot of Azur artworks, so some people might already recognize me here. I presented to you Blucher because she is one of my favorite characters. I love her cheerfulness and enthusiasm. I try to bring the happiest side of her so we can all share her love. Hope these drawings have connected our feelings. Blucher is cute, so don't bully her. Also, please don't Google me unless you have safe search on.
I will quickly note here that yes, you probably don't want to do that, as he's warned. I will also have the links in the description below for every single artist. So if you are curious, feel free to check out the description, as that will have the links to all of their social media sites. So feel free to check it out down there. Saves you the search. I got you guys. Also, Blucher is absolutely adorable, and just, why would you bully her? I mean, unless you're Prince Eugen for some reason, but there's no reason to bully such a cinnamon roll like her too. Alrighty, and with Blucher's story chapter finished, that's unfortunately all I have on this particular collab. Now, granted, this collaboration was a lot of fun to work on, and getting to meet each of the artists a bit and work with them was an entertaining experience nonetheless. A lot of time went into this project, not just on my end, but on the artists as well. I do want to take this moment to once again say thank you to Vayneeee, PaiPai, Heaven's Melody, and Kyle for just being a part of this project. Watching all of you work on these pieces and update me with them made everything all the more exciting for me. Thank you so much for the time and effort you all put into this particular project. Now, for everyone here, if you would like to follow them and see many of their other works, here's all of their accounts, and if you do need the links, they are once again in the description below, so you can give them a follow. Go check them out, they're amazing artists. Now, I know that this video is a bit different from most of the collaboration videos I've done in the past, and really just most of my videos in general. I'm more than certain everyone knows that YouTubers aren't the only content creators when it comes to a games community, and so my hope is that this video would work as one of many to help bridge the gap between the different mediums for content creators. So if you would definitely like to see more of this particular type of video, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. I do feel like I should be a bit more transparent here when I do say that these are going to take a bit of time to release. Just to give you an idea, there's a good amount of planning that has to be done, figuring out who wants to take which character, which chapter, getting an idea what they're going to be working on. Then there's the amount of time they need for them to draw their stuff. They might have things that pop up that might be getting in the way. And of course, all the post-production work that I have to do for basically to make this video that you guys are watching right now. So it's not going to be the quickest of video to get out, but I definitely hope that you guys have been enjoying this one so far. So if you are curious and would like to see more of these, just let me know. I will definitely say that there's a lot of things that I've definitely learned through my particular side of this project, and there's definitely some things I'm going to implement into the next particular one. That said though, I hope you did enjoy this video, and whether you are a regular viewer or a patron supporting my channel on Patreon, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all again real soon.